Hey everybody, Vince Ingenito here. I am with Dan Stapleton. Hello, Dan.
Hey, Vince.
You reviewed this here game that we're playing, Magnetic Case Closed.
Cage closed.
Cage Closed.
Yes, the cage is closed, not the case. The case is still wide open.
Case is still wide open, apparently. That's why we're still playing it. So yeah, Magnetic Cage Closed. You reviewed it. You didn't love it.
I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I don't have a lot of strong things to say about it, really, other than that if you have played Portal, you probably have the gist of what this game is about. Oh yeah, I remember this. All right.
Yeah.
So right here we're kind of in the middle of the kind of tutorial levels. And this magnet gun allows you to push and pull certain objects, and it never really gets much more complex than that. You get a couple of upgrades to the magnet gun here, which has like a PC power supply on it.
Well, that's interesting. Master race on
Right.
the status on the magnet gun, and you said that there's different strengths, right? That you can use the gun at, but you said you
Right.
never really felt like any
Yeah,
of the
so-
puzzles were designed with that in mind, right?
Right. So I mean, I can adjust the strength of my magnet here, so it's like a little weaker and a little stronger, which is good for moving these great big blocks. But and you get a third power level later. But I never really found a reason to have it set to anything but the maximum setting. So this magnet gun just pushes and pulls. It can also kind of push you and pull you, so you can repulse away from an object or be pulled toward it.
Yeah, there's specific walls, right, that
Right.
that you can either pull yourself towards or push off of. And there's actually a fair bit of jumping puzzles in the game. You
Yeah,
said, right?
it is very jump puzzle heavy.
Are they any good, or are they kind of clunky, or?
They're not bad. But I mean, it's kind of like this kind of stuff, and like sometimes there's a poison floor.
Poison floors. I have those in my house.
Yeah. While this lady is talking, I should mention that it does have the stand-in for GLaDOS, which are these kind of sadistic scientists that are putting you through this test. And like if you know the very brief synopsis of Portal, where it's like, oh, you are a female mute character who is being put through these test chambers by a somewhat malevolent group of scientists, and you don't take fall damage, and you have a magic gun that defies physics in some ways.
So
that's basically the exact same template that they were working off of.
Okay,
for
well,
this
that
game.
doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, right? I mean, like, Portal had some interesting things going on thematically. There was a good sense of world that it built over the course of the game, especially in the second one. Like, does Magnetic Cage Closed do that? Does it have a sense of place? Is this a world you care about? Is there kind of an overarching story?
There's kind of a story, and they've also taken from Portal the idea that let's do a lot of storytelling through this kind of writing on the walls.
Yeah.
And you never meet another character in here. It's just kind of environmental storytelling about like, oh, I bet there's stuff going on elsewhere, and eventually things go awry, and you, just like in Portal, you go through kind of a broken set of test chambers and stuff like that.
Spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, if you've played Portal, you've already spoiled everything about this game. But and it sounds like I'm kind of down on it, but some of these puzzles are actually fairly strong. Like some of them get a little bit tricky. Having to manage. Oops, where'd it go? Where'd my companion cube? I mean, regular cube go?
Stop throwing stuff.
Yeah, and at one point the disembodied voice. Oh, there we go. Disembodied voices say it's like, oh, you have a box. Now you just have to figure out what to do with it. It's like, yeah, you're really on the nose there,
Rocket
buddy.
science. So, what do you think of the game visually? I mean, we're looking at it obviously right now. Like, I mean, it looks a little bit sparse and a little bit drab to me personally. But what do you think?
It's not bad. It doesn't really have a whole lot to distinguish it. I mean, again, it's these test chambers that all use the same environmental template. It's not.
And this room looks familiar.
Yeah, and like they have you keep going through these robot doggy doors, and like sometimes it seems like they just have you go through one to go through another one. It's it's okay.
So overall, what would you say is like the worst thing though about Magnetic Cage Closed? What's the one thing that's just like, eh?
I just wish that it had kind of, and this is gonna sound bad, but I wish it had an original bone in its body, and it really doesn't. It's kind of it's clearly aping other games. It has a lot of the same things you see in Valve games, and even like the Stanley Parable. If you played that, they throw in a couple of these kind of psychological choices, like, oh, well, if you step on this one, then someone else dies, but if you step on this one, then they're just sentenced to life in prison. And so it doesn't, and this actually might be one of them here. And like every so often, it makes you put away your magnet gun for no reason, and then collect it again in a little while. There's just a bunch of like weird stuff. It makes you kind of sit there and do nothing for a while, just listen to these voiceovers. It just kind of makes you sit there and not do anything a little bit too much, which I think might be my biggest problem with it.
That's really strange because this kind of storytelling, hey, we're going to use a voiceover and environmental storytelling. The whole point of that is so that you can continue to play while the story is kind of happening. So for them to structure it in this way, where you have to just kind of stand there and do nothing while a disembodied voice, kind of goes on for a while, is
They
odd.
do both. I mean, like sometimes they'll have these monologues where where you're doing stuff as it's talking. And some of the writing is decent, and the voice acting I actually kind of like. I kind of like these performances. There are two different characters. I wasn't listening to her to her dilemma there.
Make a choice. Doesn't matter what you're listening to.
It really doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter what these choices. That's another problem, is that these choices never really bear out in any interesting way, right?
Right. I mean, the voice acting, or the script is a little bit different based on that. But that's it. It's just like, well, we go to another puzzle.
Okay, so overall, you gave the game a 6.5.
Right.
Which is
it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to compare one game to another that's a clear inspiration, unless they really kind of demand it.
And this game really wants to be Portal.
It's
really
so
badly.
It's so very Portal, and it's Portal without the groundbreaking idea that made Portal really interesting. It's like Portal using Half-Life 2's gravity gun instead of the portal gun, which is kind of neat if we hadn't done that in every game since 2004. And it's just again, some of these puzzles are head scratchers. Like some of them stumped me for a while. There are some pretty good puzzles in here. So if you love puzzle games, it'll get the job done, and it's fairly lengthy. Well, how long is this puzzle game?
You are, right?
How long is this puzzle game? I don't know. How good at puzzles are you? But there were a fair set of puzzles. There are 3 different acts. The first one has actually felt much longer, but yeah, I don't dislike it. I don't love it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it seems like very middling, taking kind of cues off of something that we all know and love, but without any of the kind of flair of inspiration that the originals had.
Oh, I kind of hate this where you're sitting in this the shipping container, moving from place to place. It feels like it should be covering a loading screen, but I'm pretty sure it's not, because this game doesn't take that long to load. So it
just
does,
a lot of
does that
waiting.
a lot.
Just a lot of waiting to see. It doesn't really seem purposeful.
And then through another doggy door, which in of itself could have hidden the loading screen, but probably is not. Anyway,
maybe it was going to be a really long load, Dan. Who knows?
Yep.
In any case, that's what we thought of Magnetic Cage Closed. And for more Magnetic Cage Closed, you're already in the right place. IGN.
You might say the case is closed on Magnetic Cage Closed. Fade to black.